Hello, everybody. Okay. Hello. Hi, Danny. Hello, everybody. Um, welcome. I'm just waiting for more people to show up, but hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Let me just add my partner onto the line first before we get our guest speaker in. At this point, I'm going to put these on just in case you get any feedback.
I actually think I hear you.
Okay, just in case. How are you, Saru?
I'm good, thank you, Sam. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. Another episode of Beyond the Canon
I
BTC
know.
Writers Room, which feels super special. We've had 1 week off and we're back. We're back and we're feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. So that feels really good just to be back here with everybody for another live episode. These are going so well. But how are things in your world, Saru, before we get started with today's episode?
Oh my goodness, it's a mad one. It's a mad one. My production company is filming in September, so it's kind of a dash to find locations because all of our productions were put on hold because COVID-19. So it's kind
Yeah.
of it's been really crazy to kind of get back on point with everything, get all the people who are attached to the project back on the same page, also do it COVID safe, and also just find locations as well because all our locations, some of them are still up in the air, some of them are back in place, so it's been a mad one, but it's exciting. I mean, it's good when you kind of work on something with lots of different moving parts and lots of different people, and I love that. That's my favorite aspect, just collaborating with everybody. So I'm having a blast, but it's a stressful blast.
I mean, the fact that things can still happen with flexibility and obviously with just everyone being as safe as they possibly can. And we want to make sure that that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah,
Everyone's
no, very
safety.
much
But
so.
it's great to hear that people are finding sort of adaptable ways really to still produce art, to still work, and also to, when possible, to employ others, right?
Yeah.
Especially during this time of redundancies and things of that nature. And also to give back. This is why we're doing our BTC Writers Room, is to give back. So for those who may not know about Beyond the Canon and the work that we do, we are an organization that's set up to create more visibility of plays by POC writers. We have been going now since like 2016, and BTC Writers Room is kind of a new initiative of ours. It was our way to give back to specifically students, but just everybody, I guess, in general. But knowing that, the COVID-19 and the impact that it's had on education, we wanted to let students and those in training institutions know that we've got them, and it's our way to help you guys build up your home libraries. So a home library of plays which we believe should be on your shelves. And these are plays by writers from POC communities. So that's why it's all set up. So we've joined forces. We've got loads of play donations from Bloomsbury Publishing, as well as Playwrights Canada Press, who have donated. We've got about over 100 plays because we believe the legacy is ours and we should be able to share it with those who are in our industry so that they know of names such as the playwrights that we have joining us as guests. It's important for us to create more visibility of them, so that their work and who they are, and that they can act as a source of inspiration for you too, as much as they inspire us. as well. So Saru, do you want to add anything to what I've just said? I've just gone into a whole spiel on
No,
what
it's
Beyond the
actually
Canon is.
admirable because usually that's me. Usually it's me. So I'm the one who usually kind of goes off on a spill. But no, I absolutely agree completely and wholeheartedly. It was genuinely us just trying to find a way that we could still show solidarity to um, all the students, and just make sure that they are able to just know that we're here for them and that there's all this beautiful and wealth of work that is still available to them, even if their education is disrupted. We can still do this. We can still, give them FaceTime with these writers. We can still give them play text that they can really sink their teeth into and just really keep their artistic journey moving along lovely. And it's nice as well because sometimes it's not students on these BTC writers room. I mean, it's just everybody really, and it's been really such a privilege to have these conversations with you all.
Yeah, I can see Justin's in the chat. Hi, Justin. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope everything's going well at the Unicorn. So yeah, I mean, we also have, so we do a play giveaway every week. And today's play giveaway is, Saru, have you got it in your hand?
Yes! Are you kidding me? What are you saying? Boom!
The glory falls anthology. What are you
I
saying?
am very nervous. What you saying? I'm ready. But yes,
So, and for those, I always make that mistake, Saru. You never like remind me. Okay, so for those who don't know who we are, let's just quickly introduce ourselves. I'm so terrible at this. I do this when I do like speaking events and everything. So I'm Samelia Hojdalaway. I'm the founder and CEO of Beyond the Canon. And Saru, do you want to just let everybody know who you are, my
yes,
darling?
I am Saru. I am the associate producer for Beyond the Canon. Yeah.
Hi, Gemma. It's so fantastic to have you signed. So, what are we missing out, Saru, in terms of letting people know before we bring on our special
Yes,
guest,
yes,
which I'm
yes,
so excited
yes.
about?
Basically, I'm really, really excited about our special guest today. But we have also had some incredible special guests that have come onto the show prior to today, and their episodes are available on our Instagram if you want to watch it. And I think on YouTube, you can actually watch our interview with Mojisala Adebayo, which was incredible, incredible conversation. And also, every single time we get the writers to come aboard, we always ask them to name 3 plays that have sort of contributed to their journey artistically, plays they wish they had read prior to them sort of joining the industry. And we put those plays on our Instagram, not Instagram, on our website, www.beyondthecanon.com. And Sims Top Shelf, you're able to see them. We also have links to all of our giveaways where you can get a discount, because Playwrights Canada Press and Bloomsbury on Theatre and Drama have been so amazing. They have given us the most incredible discounts. So you are able to go to Playwrights Canada Press, 25% their entire stock. And then if you go to Bloomsbury or Matthew and Drama or Oberon Books, you are able to use BTC 2020 for 45% off for hard copies, and 30% off hard copies and 45% off the ebook versions. I think the week off made me slower. It made me slower. I used to be able to spew this like it was a second skin. Like,
So Ibrahim, hi Ibrahim, you're saying that you can't hear us, that there's no sound. Can people let us know if you can hear us or not? Or is that just Ibrahim? Let us know if you can hear us, please. Just give us a thumbs up if you can. If you can't, then give us a thumbs down sign. I'm just waiting to hear from somebody. If someone can just let me know, that would be highly appreciative. Can someone let us know? I can hear. Okay, so Gemma, you can hear. You can. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so hopefully you got all of that information. You can hear us now. Fantastic. Okay, so hopefully you got all of that information. If anything slipped your mind, or if you just didn't hear us at that present moment in time, please do visit our website. It's www.beyondthecanon.com. All right then. So without further ado, we're going to bring on our special guest, who is Sakia. I'm so excited, Alexander. So I can see that she's in the chat and she's raring to go. So Saru, I'm going to jump. I'm going to bring you back in after the interview with Sakia.
Yes, yes,
Unfortunately, we can only have
definitely.
2 people on this thing. But yeah,
No, it's
I'm
okay.
bringing
It's
back Saru
okay.
later, and then you can share your thoughts on what has been said. All right, take care. Bye, Saru. Take care.
Bye.
Okay, so let's bring in Sakia. Okay, let me see if I can find you. Okay, here we go. Here we go. She'll be joining any minute. Sakia, are you here? I'll try and see if I can just let's just try this one more time. Oh, Sakia, I think you have to allow Instagram. You have to allow Instagram to use your camera, because it's saying that I can't add you right now. So if Saru will help you out, I'm sure she'll just give you a shout now. But if you just go into your settings and just allow Instagram, then you'll be able to join us. I think they just need to have access to your audio and also have access to your video too. So please do that, and then I'll be able to add you. I'll be able to go live with you once you've done that. Oh, here we go.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going really, really well. And thank you so much for being on BTC Writers Room. We really appreciate you. And I was saying to Saru that we've never met, and I've known about your work. So this is feeling really, really special for me, really. And the fact that we do quite similar things, so it was inevitable, I guess, for our paths to cross
Love it.
at some stage, I think.
It's 10 o'clock a.m., like 10 o'clock here in the morning. So I'm a little just waking up.
Right, right. Okay, okay. And it's 12 here. I'm in Chicago at the moment. So
You in
you're still
Chicago?
waking up. Yeah, I'm currently in Chicago.
Oh,
Long story, I'll tell you why that is offline. But I'm currently in Chicago. Recently got married to my now husband, Reginald Edmonds, who you may know.
yeah, all together now.
Now you see the connection.
Now it's all very clear.
So thank you so much. I always love coming across people or works that I may not have come across before. Do you know what I mean? I'm always digging and searching and looking to expand my library. And this is why we're doing this. We're doing this for us to encourage others to do the same, to encourage others to advocate and to champion, other writers, especially those from our communities, who we both know that there is sort of a lack of acknowledgement, of the work that we have poured into the industry, that we are the fabric of the industry, but sometimes that gets overlooked. But we can sort of delve into that. But let me just let everybody know. I've got a very short, I'm going to make this really short in terms of your introduction, but just so that people know who you are. So Sakia Alexander is an award-winning writer, occasional actor I've got here on your biography, but you can maybe go into that a bit more, and a native New Yorker raised in Queens and Brooklyn. Her latest play, How to Raise a Free Man, has been workshopped at Playwrights Horizon in New York City, and Center Theatre Group in Los Angeles. Now, there's so much that I want to say because you have written for TV, you have written musicals, there's so much. So I'm not going to go into like all of that. So I'm hoping that we'll just touch on that as we just have an informal conversation with each other, right? A real informal conversation with each other. But I really want to start with the Kilroys. I really want to start there. You are co-founder, and this is how I'm so shocked that our paths haven't crossed, because every time I talk about Beyond the Canon, people talk to me about the Kilroys, and it's just as you can probably imagine. And first of all, just to say, you know what, like, mad respect for you, like mad respect to you and all the work that you've done. For people who do not know about the Kilroys, please do Google the Kilroys, and we will plug that on our website too. It's such an important organization, really sort of focused on taking actionable steps to address the gender parity that's in our industry. And I want to read that's what's on the website, because it's just so fantastic. The Kilroys are a collective of playwrights, directors, and producers in LA and New York City who are done talking about gender parity and are taking action. We mobilize others in the field and leverage our own power to support one another. Please tell us more. Please tell us how it got started, and just in terms of the significant, I know some of the work because it's come on my radar more than once, but the impact that it's had in the industry. Is there a feedback that you can hear? I just want to make sure that our sound's clear.
I find you're fine. You're perfect.
Okay, cool.
The Kilroys really started with a lot of expat playwrights who were from New York and Chicago for the most part, who found ourselves in LA, all here for TV for the most part. And we were doing the thing that playwrights normally do, which is complain about who's getting produced. And I went to Yale with a class of like 4 people, and it's really clear how the white men, their careers have been so different than any of the women who've gone to school. And around that same time, I forgot who had done it, a theater critic had said something to the lines of there's not enough plays in the pipeline written by women. And having been a resident of New Dramatists and a long career, we all knew that there's many women, trans, non-binary people who are super talented, who just haven't been able to get the attention of white producers. And so what we decided to do was really on our own dime and our own time, do something to sort of prove that those plays existed, and to give theaters who couldn't find these plays a way to go to them. So we surveyed as many theater producers across, theater tastemakers, playwrights, directors across the country, to give us a list of their favorite plays for that season. And that list eventually became the Kilroys list. And it really surprised us to see who needed to be validated. I think Paula Vogel was on our very first list, and we thought, Paula Vogel's not going to give a shit about this. Paula Vogel is Paula Vogel, who sort of trained all of us in some ways, who's won a Pulitzer and been on Broadway. Why would she care about the Kilroys list? But she cared because she had not been validated enough. And I think that's when we sort of realized, no matter where you are in your career, if you're a woman, chances are you haven't been seen as much as everyone else. So this was just a way to sort of call attention, raise a flag, make it a national call out, to sort of say, if you don't think there's plays by women, here they are.
Amazing. And, you know, I can completely relate to that. For the work I did, I was a troubleshooter and the manager on the Black Play Archive. And I was tasked with creating kind of an online archive of all the plays that have been produced in Britain by Black playwrights over the last 70 years. And looking at that database, you could see that it had a huge impact on the sustainability, especially of Black females in the industry and their careers, of the writers. And, you know, we see that in terms of these sort of new trends, right? And the fact that there's a sort of a industry gravitates to sort of what's hot and young and new and fresh. And actually, just in terms of those writers that are I would say, our grandparents, they're the shoulders that we will stand on, and how easily they're forgotten about. So that one play that may or may not even happen, but the one play that, let's say, it happens, and then it just sort of fizzles out from there. And just in terms of how there's a rallying around the men that takes place and the sustainability of their careers,
Yeah.
and how that sort of differs. But I would love for you to talk to sort of some of the successes that have come out of the Kilroys, and also some of the challenges and maybe the ongoing challenges that you face at the Kilroys.
There, I think our successes, there's some playwrights who I just won't name specifically who didn't have agents, who got multiple productions off of the list, that really changed their personal careers. And I think there was something really interesting. We were thinking that maybe we should get rid of the Kilroys because our careers had sort of gotten too crazy to sustain being a Kilroy anymore and to do this work. But we realized that the need was so great because there's so many writers who this was a big career mark for them. This was something to write on their resume, and this was something that made theaters be attracted to their plays. Now, at the same time, we haven't changed parity in American theater. That has not happened. And I think the thing that surprised me the most was looking at the statistics. I feel like it's less than 3% of women of color who get produced. So that was another sort of statistic, which is even further than the gender conversation. And for me, I realized that those statistics haven't moved much over the years, over the history of American theater. It's almost always been the same. So while there was attention and I think a light placed on parity and the importance of it, we were in many newspaper articles, so many interviews about it. I think it raised the consciousness, but I don't think that that can totally shift until the people who are producers shift and consider that to be a main priority. And I don't think it does right now. I think you can really sort of see the trends of what kind of play by a woman gets produced. And my joke is always, although I talk about Black women and women of color all the time, it's just as hard to be a white woman playwright. Because the kind of style of plays is I always say the white woman plays that are the most successful are so idiosyncratic. You can't actually have a real heart story. Instead, there's this gravitation towards white women plays that are completely bizarre and don't really have an emotional benchmark as we're asking for other writers. So I think it's very fucked up. It's been fucked up for a long time. I don't know how that can change unless we sort of burn it all down and there's different artistic directors. I have very little faith in the integrity of the people who are producing theater at this particular point in time.
Yeah. I completely wholeheartedly agree with you. Someone's asking how can they find the list? Where can they go to get the list?
I believe it's on our website. Is it thekilroys.org? I believe is the title, but you can Google the Kilroys. There are the lists over the last 7 years, I believe, are there. And there's also collections of monologues from those plays that you can also find, which I can't tell you how to find it, but if you can Google the Kilroys monologues, you'll find we have 2 anthology books out.
And what we'll do as well, with your permission, of course, is that we can put that on our website, so that we can promote those books too, those monologue books too. Okay, so I'm just making sure that I answer any questions that come up. So what's your hope? The thing is, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, the work that I do at the Beyond the Canon company, and also at Artistic Directors of the Future as well, I think there does need to be changes that take place, that happen, the shifts that have to happen, sort of senior management level in terms of who the decision makers are. But what's your hopes for the Black, female, non-binary, trans, artistic communities now and for the future in terms of sort of visibility, opportunities, and their own level of agency as well?
I mean, I think I'm not that hopeful, honestly. I'm not a really optimistic writer. I think I live in a pessimistic, sort of realistic world. Especially, I think as soon as I learned the statistics, my eyes opened, because what I thought personal slight was actually the way the world worked, and that there was no shift. I think that the real models are creating your own models and breaking through, leaving behind the traditional setup. What I would say is organizations like 13P, which self-produce their own plays, a self-producing group of playwrights, that really broke the model. I think one of the most important things is to stop playing the same game. Because I think that that just leaves you dissatisfied. One of the things that's really changed for me, mostly because I'm doing television, is I'm like, theater is kind of a hobby unless you figure out a way for it to be your own. And in that way, I think the last time I taught playwriting, I told my class, most of you won't have the traditional career that you've seen. Everyone's not going to be able to be produced across the country because it's just not possible. There's a million plays right now, and your play isn't even more special just because you wrote it. Instead, I think to think about it like you have a play because you want to write it. You have something to say. It's important to you, which means it's maybe important to other people. And I think it's to sort of seek out a different way for production to happen, for you to not be valued by a white male artistic director all the time, to find other ways to validate what you're doing and why it's important. And I think taking full ownership of either theater or production is the only way to shift things. I think that there's not enough room, there's not enough spaces, and there's not enough consciousness to shift the bubble. Now, this might change after this quarantine moment that we're sort of in, where suddenly white people have acknowledged that racism exists. And so I think that the trend, I think it's two ways. One, everything will be burned down, and there will have to be more acknowledgement of the world that we're in, and more of a sort of a conscious decision to produce plays that look like the city or the world around the theater. Or it'll just be a trend for a few years and we'll go back to status quo. I can't tell just yet. But I think the most important thing is to stop trying to be validated by someone else.
Yes, that's 100%, 100%. That's definitely damaged us and set us back just in terms of that look for validation from institutions.
That's what I was trained to do. I mean, I feel like I was really trained an American model that really was only accessible for white men. And so I think it's so interesting that for so long I kind of believed anything was possible when it was being proven to me and shown to me that anything was not possible.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's so much I want to say on that. That's so key. I think in terms of trying to well, we're not even trying, getting to the point where you create your own terms and understanding. It's really interesting because I was which was recently in Los Angeles, and we were talking to Lawyer, and we were talking about the business. Lloyd Webb, we're talking about the business because she's many people might not know, but she's actually educated as a lawyer. She's a lawyer, and so for her, sort of coming into the industry with sort of more of an acknowledgement of the legalities of the business, and sort of learning and sort of navigating that, and saying actually artists need to take that time out to really understand the business. You know, so in terms of the contracts that you sign, in terms of, you know, and we see it, you know, we see it with Michaela Cole. Obviously that's probably the most kind of best example to use, I guess, at this point. But how have you found sort of that side, the business side, the contractual sort of agreements and sort of negotiations to be had to?
There's so little money in theater that I don't know if it really matters.
But in TV as well, like, because you know, as you enter both sides.
Yeah, TV is different. TV, I think it's just having really good management, like who is representing you. Everyone can't be Michaela Cole at this particular moment who fired her agents, but that's exactly pursuing a major deal. So I think it's sort of figuring out where you are, what level you are. If you're staffing, then probably it doesn't matter so much. You're probably going to get the best deal possible because everyone sort of wants it for you. If it's your own show, which is a huge thing, then I think you've got to think about the back end, which is what Michaela Cole was sort of talking about. She wasn't getting the back end off of the money, and she was really clear about how much she was getting paid. It's really interesting because I think when you're a playwright, you're not used to making any money at all. You're getting validated in a different way. It's not financial validation. Most playwrights have a secondary job no matter where they are in their profession. Lynn Nottage is even, works as the head of Columbia, the playwriting program. So there's always a little bit more legwork you have to do if you're fully working in theater. But when you're working in television, the most shocking thing is, what do? You're kind of like a football player who's never had money, and suddenly you're like, well, what do I do? So part of it is thinking like a financial person, just in general, for the very first time for some of us. Like, what do you do with money? What does happen with money? I remember I was just really
Right.
happy that I could buy a coffee every day. That was like a level of
Right.
financial security that I never had. I'm like, oh, I can afford to get a coffee 5 days a week. That is like more money than I've ever had as a playwright. And that's not even real money.
Mm.
That's thinking of how low my ideals were in a way. But I think it's being financially responsible and figuring out what that means for you.
And I remember this recent tweet that you put out in terms of that, really sort of talking about the lack of money, the lack of financial compensation you get as a theatre playwright. I believe that that's what you were referring to on your Twitter page. And just in terms of just the difference between sort of like what you get as a wage in the TV world to
Oh yeah.
how to how it is in theatre. And actually that feels like such a obvious first step in terms of like how we are respecting writers today and how we are enabling them to have a sustainable career in the arts too.
It's never about the writer. I mean, that's what I think the most about theater. It's rarely about can a writer sort of live. I think it's mostly like a writer's just happy to be involved, and so we will take very little without even realizing that the artistic director could make $1.2 million. There's something
Mm,
really wrong about the scale. It's even true in television. I think it's very weird that television writers, that the writer of anything isn't the person who's promoted the most, but instead the writer sort of is lucky to hang on. And it feels like for American theater, there's this feeling that writers are kind of a dime a dozen, that there's so many to choose from, that there's no real reason to invest in more than 10 playwrights. I always feel like it's about 15 playwrights who work all the time, who have an actual
mm,
career, who can monetize their work, and everyone else is just happy to be scraping by. And that's about a lot of things. I think American theater is really about a virgin. They love a virgin. They love somebody who's never been done before. That's American theater's favorite thing, is to pop the cherry of a new writer.
that's everywhere, by the way, just to say that's in the UK too.
I think it's sort of everywhere.
Yeah.
And what statistically happens for women is after a certain age, they're not produced. So
Yeah.
that's one of the statistics that happen. By middle age, it's really hard to continue on. And so we have a lot of women kind of dying out. You have a child, you're trying to do other multiple things that come with being a woman. And can you sustain this career where there's no money involved? And that's why a lot of people I know who had money already are the most successful people, because they don't have to worry about their day-to-day of how do I eat? I can just live on theater, whatever theater pays me, because that's not where I'm getting my money to pay my bills.
Oh, definitely. And in the spirit of the Kilroys, I'm going to ask you a question in terms of, we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about advocating for others, but I'm really interested in terms of your journey, who have been your main supporters artistically and the people who have championed and advocated for you over the years.
It's really weird because I don't know if I had that kind of peer support or ever had someone that I sort of relied on. In recent months, it's really been Paula Vogel, which is coming out of the blue. That she sort of read one of my plays and was like, is a super champion of it. But I don't know, somehow I didn't have that. I really think I was kind of always a rogue writer. I was sort of trained as an actor, and I specifically tried to write plays that didn't look like one another without sort of realizing what sort of effect that would have on my career. So I think I've always been rogue. I don't think I've ever had anyone who really specifically championed me, although I've had many people who have been fans of my work. But I don't know if I've had anyone who would go to the mat just yet for my writing. I don't know if everyone has that, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that again, that's the problem. People feeling so isolated, and I think it's a problem, but it's not a problem. I mean, I'm like you. I've kind of always just been a bit rogue too, right? And there's definitely advantages of that, just in terms of really keeping your authentic voice, etc., etc. But I think that that support is also really needed and required, and knowing that you can get that from a set of peers is also vital to just well-being, and just your own sort of level of sustainability in the career.
To be fair,
I want to talk to what you've just.
I've had a lot of
Yeah.
support. Like the new dramatist was very supportive. I think I've been in a lot of residencies where there was a lot of peer support. the LARP.
Nice.
I've had support on creating material and support that many writers don't have, which is I can get a cast and hear a play and get a director. So I've had professional support. I just don't know if I've
Yeah.
had mentorship.
Okay. Okay. Um, and just talking about your work and just the breadth of work, and you sort of alluded to this just now in terms of being rogue. And actually, I mean, I've loved reading your biography. I've loved seeing your work, reading your work, because it is so different from one another. Like there is no formula. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes when you see some writers, they do get pigeonholed, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But to see a writer like you is so inspirational, to be honest with you. And I love the fact that you've just crossed from sort of musicals to satire to, working sort of in TV, and working on The Hunters is actually one of my favorite programs. And also working with Shonda Rhimes, on Grey's Anatomy. And I just sort of wonder, just in terms of like, it can all, from our perspective, just all seem so amazing and glamorous, etc. But what's been sort of the highlights in your career, but also what's been both a highlight but also one of the biggest challenges? Because we also have to recognize that nothing's ever binary.
I mean,
We've all had those
weird.
experiences.
I feel like I think my highlights are always being in the theater and watching the reception of the work. When it's
Right.
no longer mine, I think every single one of my plays has had a crazy reception. When it's sort of received, that is sort of stunning and beyond me. So I think that's always been the thing that can keep me going in sort of such a strange theater space. And television is super challenging. It's completely opposite of playwriting in all the ways. I think I was really blessed because my disparate plays really get me a lot of television work in a way that theater doesn't respond in the same way. I think it's hard to deny a really good script for TV. That's the truth. Like if you could make it through the door, an excellent script will get you work, and an excellent script in theater might not. So I think the hardest part of learning television is thinking out loud. And as a playwright, everything's super internal. I take a note. I don't know how I process it. I wake up, I figure it out. It's all really quiet, and it's not loud. And television is about thinking thoughts out loud. And for me, for years, I couldn't do it. I was like hearing Spanish. I kept trying to land something, but it wasn't a good idea. And then somewhere, I think maybe when I was working on Hunters, suddenly it was sort of like you learn a language and you don't have to translate. It is really clear what you're trying to do. You can think and talk at the same time. And it's a surprise, but I do think it takes a lot of work. Most playwrights, I think Craig Wright told Sheila Callahan, who told me, most playwrights have to wait till they get to the script. That's when they're comfortable. So when you're scared in this sort of other world, it's waiting till you can actually write. And if you are a good writer and you know how to write, that's probably when you feel safe. But I think television is a business. And I feel like ultimately theater wasn't, because television is sort of, it's like working in corporate America. You are not the boss. There's notes from your studio. There's notes from your network. There's notes that need to be satisfied in some way or another. And I think it's about thinking of your work as a monetized work is really different. When you're a staff writer, you're trying to write someone else's voice. I just finished Russian Doll a little while ago, season 2. And one of those things was like, how do you write in Natasha Lyonne's voice? And I really had a simplistic idea of what that was like. And then the digging deeper into what it really meant was a surprise. So you're kind of always an artist for hire, and you are an independent contractor. So it's sort of learning how to be, it's closer to being an actor, where you are always sort of auditioning for another job.
Fantastic. I mean, we could do a whole episode on the writer's room. I'm sure that you've got so many stories in terms of, but what would you say that you've taken away from the writer's room that you have now incorporated in your writing for theatre? Is there anything?
I mean, I don't know about that. I think I had to learn structure before I became a television. When I was a professor, I realized that I had never been taught structure, that it was sort of a mysterious thing that had never made it to like my education. And so I think knowing that is the most important thing for television, because you might have to write a 30-page outline. And knowing how to really think about what's behind the scene is something I have a hard time with. I'm teaching a little playwriting class, and my students, I'm like, what's going underneath it? I don't care what your dialogue is. What is the scene for? What is the action? And that is something that has helped me write a play faster. I think that's the only difference, is that I can sort of look and see what the play is. And I don't, I would say now when I teach, you don't want to start off, you wouldn't get in a car and just figure out how to get to Mexico. You would actually have a map. And I think that's what a good outline provides. You might have twists and turns, you might get off and like look at the scenic route, but you actually have a destination. And I think that has changed not only the way I teach, but the way I write, which is much more economical.
And you know, as you're talking, I keep on getting sort of those flashbacks from Hunters, really, and that episode 6, and I was just like, everybody used to just keep on, you know, I could watch that over and over and over and over again, and just the, like you said, what's happening underneath, you can see it. I mean, the texture of that writing, the fact that it is so, it's so layered, and then it kind of comes back into itself, and then it's, do you know what I mean? I mean, there's
Yeah.
this, I don't know how else to describe
Yeah.
it, but it's just a masterpiece. So I just want to just salute you, because that for me is just such an amazing, like, it blew my mind.
David
And
Files, the creator, was 28 of that show, which I think is helpful
oh,
because this was his first TV show. And I think that
right.
he really gave the writers real freedom to write. And it was the closest work I've ever done that was like a play, where there was complete
Yeah.
sort of liberties to do things that you normally don't do, to break all kinds of rules as the point of the show. That's how he always imagined it. So I think he really hired writers who had that ability to sort of take everything really far. Every single crazy pitch I ever made it into that show. Everything. And so it's a little wild.
It's amazing. That's what I'm going to call it. Amazing, epic, masterpiece. I'm going to move on because we've only got a little bit amount of time left, and I really want to talk about the plays that you've selected in terms of the plays that you wish that you would have read before you entered into the professional industry. And so I'll hand over to you now just to discuss those plays.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is I was already a playwright. I started writing at 16, so I was already a play. I think that was my first professional contest that I won. Was 16, so I actually was a writer before I had read any of these plays. So I think I'm a very weird case where I've been an actor professionally, and writing was just, I only wrote my first play because there was a contest where you got professional evaluations, and so I wrote a play and that won second place. And after that, I really became a writer at a really young age and took it really seriously. But the plays that I chose are Polaroid Stories by Naomi Iizuka, who I think the most important thing is the plays that I chose are not naturalistic. I don't like naturalism. I think plays really work in naturalism, but I feel like it's a box that is not that sexy to me. I don't want to really be told how to feel. And so I think that's the one thing my plays have in common, is I want to make you laugh, and then I want to make you cry unexpectedly. That's the one thing that all of my plays, no matter what they are, really have in common. And so the plays that I picked are plays that are a little strange and still make me feel something. So Polaroid Stories by Naomi Iizuka is an adaptation of Greek stories told by homeless runaway kids. She interviewed kids in Seattle who were homeless and on the fringe, and she used that as an inspiration to tell sort of an epic story that was really different from anything that we've ever heard. What I really like about it is how there are rules, but they're strange rules, how there are characters like Punk Rock Girl, and it really allows for like diversity in thought and how you look at a Greek play, a Greek story, and how we can connect to it in the most sort of guttural way. My favorite writers are Naomi's. Naomi Wallace's One Flea Spare. I could pick any of Naomi Wallace's plays.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting. She's never gotten, what I really think that it really kind of changed me was to realize that my favorite playwrights never really got a lot of shine.
That's right.
They've never really gotten produced as much as even some of the young people out today. And their canon is so insane. Like the work that they have is ridiculous.
Yes.
But I'm obsessed with Naomi Wallace. I met her once at Louisville Theater, Actors Theater of Louisville. I like almost went out with her brother just because I was obsessed with her. Just because I was like, oh, do I get to hang out with Naomi Wallace? I'll go out with this guy with tattoos on his fingers.
She's easy to get obsessed with. I mean, seriously, her work is just
ridiculous,
incredible.
But she just,
yeah.
the landscape of characters, her lack of, her ability to sort of bring in characters, historic characters from all over the place. She's got a real ability to sort of have a landscape and characters that we haven't seen, and a structure that I think we haven't seen. What was the last one that you picked? I don't remember.
It was Day of Absence.
Oh, Day of Absence. And Day of Absence, I really studied in high school for the first time because I went to performing arts high school. And Day of Absence is a play that is so relevant right now, where it's sort of what happens if you wake up and all the Black people are gone, except that it's played by Black actors in whiteface. And what we see there is people don't know how to raise their kids. They don't know how to like do basic things because the people who handle it, the Black people, are all gone. There was a remake of it as a film, A Day Without a Mexican, which is just as relevant because it really speaks to where America is. It's a film where it sort of takes what happens if the Mexicans aren't there, and you realize that America can't move forward. So it's a satire that takes a look at who we are in a really funny, broad way, and I think it really deserves more performances. All three of those writers, I think, have never really gotten sort of the attention that their work deserves.
No, that is so, so true. That's so, so true. And, you know, as you're saying it, and, you know, it blows my mind. But again, you know, I think that, like you said, just getting into those positions where we can start to make sort of different choices, and that's so much, that's so needed right now. It's so needed right now. And I think that, you know, it goes beyond the work. It's about who are on the board, who are the, you know, who are the literary managers, you know, I mean, we could go on, who are the critics.
I think one of the things that sort of happens for all people of color that I've sort of noticed is the trend when there's white artistic directors is the work that gets the most attention is a work where your existence is the inciting incident, where you as a Black character are either in your place of origin, be that Africa or the hood, and it is really overcoming the fact that you exist at all, which is exactly what Raisin in the Sun did, but it was the very first of its kind. And I would say that's true if you are of color, if you are queer. I think it's all sort of questioning how dare you exist and how will you survive? And I think that there is a reticence to sort of do plays where you are already a fully formed human being.
Yes.
And I think it's really interesting that a white play could sort of discuss dinner and the Black play could not. And so I think it's sort of looking at what are the plays that white people really feel are important and how much poverty porn there is in most of those plays. The writing is really good, so I can't say anything about the plays or the playwrights. I can only speak to Passing Strange was the very first play I'd ever seen as a native New Yorker, where it was a middle-class guy who was loved, who had enough food, who had to figure out another sort of trajectory of his life. And that I had not seen in my entire life until then. And it shocked me.
And I think Passing Strange, is that available online? I'm sure it's available online. I think that there's
also a film. Spike Lee did the last performance of that as well somewhere. But yeah, you can definitely.
Yeah. You can definitely find that too. Oh my goodness, this is absolutely incredible. And just as we were talking about what those plays mean to you and what they may have in common. For those people who are less familiar with your work, just to end this session, which I don't want to end the session with you, I really thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. But how would you best describe your plays and just your work? Should we say that? How would you best describe your work?
I think my work examines some of the issues of America, asks you to laugh at it and get comfortable with those issues, and then punches you in the gut and makes you understand that you are a part of it.
You know what, Zakia, I absolutely adore you. I could have never said it in the way that you said it. That's why you're here talking about your own work. Like, this is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
I really hope that, I know you said this is your last Instagram live, that you put it out there, but I hope that you do return with us. You know, we're doing this and we want to make it bigger. And there's a lot of interest for it to live in multiple different ways. And it'd be really great to circle back to you and have another conversation. I feel like we're pals now. You know, we've kind of broken the ice.
I'll see you when you come to LA.
Yeah, exactly. We'll definitely hang out in LA. But so much love to you. Thank you once again for
You're
just
welcome.
spending this time with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom, sharing your insight, and giving us sort of that much needed kind of, like you said, what the punch in the throat or the punch in the gut, whatever you said, because it's real talk and everyone needs to hear that, you know, the realities of the profession and what needs to be changed still, you know, even though we're in 2020, you know, as we move forward, and for us just to be more consciously aware
It's
of
empowering,
the,
you know. It empowers
yeah,
you to not think that you are a white man. And I think I was trained
yeah.
to think I was a white man. So that was a real shock to realize that the rules were different. But to know that you're not, and to know what power you do have, I always say I didn't know the power of a Black person from Brooklyn, but now I know.
Yeah, and that power is immense and it's beautiful and it's strong and it's vulnerable and it's everything. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's so important to know that. And thank you for sharing that. I think there's gonna be loads of people that identify with that. So thank you and
Welcome.
see you in LA, girl.
See you later.
See you
Bye.
later, my darling. You take care, Sakia. Thank
Bye.
you.
You're welcome.
Bye. Oh my God, wasn't that absolutely amazing? Can't thank Sakia enough for joining us. That was a real treat for us. Um, wow,
Wow.
she's so
That's
extraordinary.
just, oh my goodness, that was so spectacular. Do you know, honestly,
I
I
mean,
am completely just, wow.
oh my goodness, I've just
I'm
kind of
gonna be
lost
quiet.
myself. Oh my
Yeah.
God, we've got to do the plate giveaway. Look at me, I've got
Yes.
so into the conversation that I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. We have to do this play giveaway. So if you want to win Katori Hall's play anthology, give me some emojis up in there, up on the screen. If you are, obviously we want to focus this on sort of any students or anybody that's in an artistic course, or artistic training course. That could be a playwriting course, it could be a director's course, etc., etc. Definitely just throw in some emojis down below. This was super duper special. I'm so happy that Sakia joined us. It was, you know, there's so many things that she said that just resonated with me, and I'm sure that it resonated with other people as well.
Yeah, me too.
Um, yeah. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts, Saru? I'm just
Oh
waiting
my
for those
goodness.
people
It
to
was a
holler
long,
at
you
me
know
right
what?
now.
I genuinely,
Oh, someone said it was too short.
it was
Yeah.
too short. It was too short. I genuinely felt like it was just
She,
an incredibly beautifully frank conversations about the hardships, and it also kind of made me, and it's thoughts that I've always really had, you know, to say, you know, that the reason why Beyond the Canon exists and the reason why we do what we do is because we believe these incredible phenomenal writers deserve more than what the world is
yeah.
saying and what the world is giving them. And it was just a conversation to say, why aren't you paying them more? And is there really a way where, you know, that they are ever going to get that kind of acknowledgement, that kind of truly, this is what, you're phenomenal, you're great, you deserve this space? Or is there just a small number of people that are going to get that? And we do have to create our own spaces so that we can facilitate for that. But it's also just stupid and unfair,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not cool.
It's just a level of exploitation as well, and that's
Yeah.
that's the foundation, unfortunately, you know, of the arts industry. You know, it has been able to sustain itself through exploiting other people. And so you're right, in terms of when we really talk about equity, you know, we really have to unpack what that means and what that looks like in the financial aspects of it, but also just in terms of employment, in terms of, you know, really sort of thinking about it in a 360 way, as opposed to just going, oh, you know,
And
you're
we're in
looking at it in terms of
danger.
a ticking box
We're in danger of
situation.
losing them all, of losing them to just the hard graft to life. You know, like
Yeah,
these incredible, amazing people who could write work that could alter and shift perspectives and really kind of impact life. just can't do it because they can't pay the bills, you know, and it's that
Definitely.
kind of, that was an incredible conversation.
Yeah. And please put some thoughts. Yeah, please put some thoughts below if you've had any, just in terms of like what was said in our interviews. We've got like 4 minutes before we're going to be locked off of this. So we're going to have to find a way to probably give our pay giveaway out. But you know what? I think that just in terms of just hearing your thoughts, any takeaways from the conversations would be really great for us to know. Or any questions? Did it raise any questions for you off the back of listening to the interview? It'd be really, really great for us to sort of hear from you. If you've got any thoughts, please drop them in the comments below. We've literally got 4 minutes, probably less than 4 minutes now. But this has been, you know, I think this is where it feels so rewarding, you know, to get to this stage where we are meeting so many different writers. I love the fact that Sakia really highlighted and saying it was great but wanted more. Really highlighted plays that weren't naturalistic plays, that plays that actually really played the form, because I think again it's really about what plays really get promoted, what plays are really deemed as, you know, quality and excellence, what plays actually set that bar. There's a link. I don't know what that link is for. Someone's put a link. I don't know what that link is. It's a Facebook link. I don't know what it is. Maybe you can explain what that link is that we've just put in the comments, because we're trying to find out what that means. And it's all going to go, obviously, off the back of us leaving this conversation. So if you could just let us know what that link is so we can find it and maybe DM us the link, because I'm not quite sure what that means. But Fran, if you could do that, that'd be amazing. Oh, okay, cool.
But also just keep the conversation going, guys. Like, honestly,
yes.
like, please keep having these conversations, keep discussing these things, include us if you like.
Okay. So SM Rep requesting BIPOC. What? Requesting just BIPOC? Just requesting people of color? Is that what it is? Anyway, we'll find out what you mean by that, and we'll dig into that a bit more. We're going to have to leave, but we are going to do our play giveaway still. Yeah, so we'll definitely, Saru, if you can do that online for us. Yes. So if you haven't had a chance to enter the competition, then please do. And Saru, look out for Saru's tweets and Facebook messages and Instagram messages as well.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us. This has been absolutely incredible.
Thank you, Sakia, so much for sharing. So good.
Thank you, Sakia, so much. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week. Same time, same place, on Beyond the Canon Instagram Live. So see you then. Saru?
Oh, still typing. Sorry. Oh no, we're gonna lose.
We're gonna have to go. Someone's saying I'm still typing. Yeah, we'll find you. DM us your comment, and we will get back to you. Okay. But this recording will be available as well, so please do share it with other people that you know. And we look forward to seeing you next week. All right then. Take care. Bye.